Welcome back to the Not One of Your Little Friends podcast with Chayil and Constance. I'm Chayil Carter and
Constance Carter.
And y'all, it's been a hot dang all minute. So many things have happened. I woke up one day and I'm like, because this podcast is really on me for real. And
I'm the talent. I just want to let y'all know right now, I'm the talent. I just say, tell me when to show up, where my markers are.
Anyway, so this podcast is really on me for real. And I haven't been really showing up for this podcast
like
as I should have.
You haven't.
So I just decided,
I'm gonna be like Nike and just do it.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna crack the whip on my mama. I'm doing something else, and she told me I need to be dressed in 15 minutes and try to crack the whip on me.
I absolutely did, because it's just like...
And then gonna text me talking about, you got your makeup on yet? Like,
no, I said you better be dressed is what I said.
First of all, don't worry about me. I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional.
Anyway, professional, but your edges ain't laid. Okay, anyway.
Are we gonna do that? Is this what we gonna do? Because we can do it.
What are you gonna talk about? You gonna talk about my flakes on my head?
This ain't what you
want,
talk
about the flakes on my head?
This ain't what you want, boo.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The topic for today, we're going to talk about, if you were 26 again, and that was like 50 years ago, wasn't it?
Oh, it don't look like it was 50 years ago.
It was 145 years ago, wasn't it?
No.
If you were 26 again, what would you tell yourself, or what would you wish you would have known as you were younger?
One thing or multiple things, or what?
Say this first thing, because I might have some.
Okay, so I'll say this. I don't have any regrets in my life. None. Well, one. I got one regret. That's me not going to an HBCU. Only regret in life. And I told my kids this since they were little. My only regret in life is me not going away to an HBCU. That's why all four of my children, HBCU. So that's the only regret. So I don't have any regrets. But even when I was married, I will say, I think we both did. Maybe I did. Maybe both of us did. We used to tell our kids not to do what we did. Did your dad ever say that? I know I did.
Like, no, absolutely not. Anyway.
Oh, I used to say, don't do what we did.
Yeah.
And that's just get married too young. First of all, I just don't believe that you should get married before your prefrontal cortex is developed. But really, it's really about knowing who you are, knowing what you want, just really knowing who you are. I don't think at 23 or 22 when I got married, I really knew who I was, what life was about, the bigger picture. And so we got married and we started a family so young. I actually wanted to wait a little bit before we started a family, but we started a family really young, had her. And then, then it just got rolling. And again, we created a great life. We did the best with what we had. Beautiful family, great business, created some great memories, did some wonderful vacations, all of the things. But I would say I would get to know myself. And it's not about him. It's not about ending ultimately in divorce at all. But it's really about getting to know me before I got with somebody else.
Mm.
I think I would have been able to show up better if I knew myself better. I would have looked at things a lot differently.
What would you say? Because I know back then marriages were like at an all-time high in general back then.
Or higher.
Higher back then. Even my mom's generation, like this is like our first generation where women aren't putting like marriage on that front end for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so would you think that you were like either pressured to get married, or like you had to meet a certain timeline, or that's why you got married? Because like I feel like there wasn't really much of an option for you back then.
Well, it was kind of what was next. So I had been with your dad since I was 15 years old. I think I was 22 when we got married. So it was kind of what's next, but I don't think I had any real life experiences to be able to make that decision. And then having, I know my mom did give me a talk before I got married, but my mom wasn't really in my life like that. My mom left when I was 14. So I didn't have a mother there that was, putting me up on game and telling me certain things that I needed to have in life. My dad encouraged me. My dad was like, come on, let's go, And so he thought, that was the best thing for me. He was a Christian man and he felt like that was the best thing I should have done. My mom gave me a talk like a couple days before, was like, you don't got to do this. But I didn't respect what she was saying because she wasn't really part of my everyday life. So it was like, what do you have to tell me? I know what I'm doing. And so it was kind of that.
Real. That's why relationships are very important. Like having relationships with people, because it's just like, you're not really going to listen to somebody who haven't really been there for you for
right.
real.
So yeah, what she was saying didn't really mean anything to me at the time. But, I didn't feel like I had anybody just to kind of, pour into me and say, this is what life really is. And there are all of these, the world is so much bigger and there's so many opportunities. Now, again, no regrets, because I got 4 amazing children. Like, life is great. It's peaceful and it's wonderful and it's all the things. And my life has always been good. When I was married, it was good. Being divorced, it's good. I went through some deep valleys, no doubt. But I've never been miserable. I've never been depressed. I have been stressed. I have gone through it, but I've always been generally happy with whatever situation that I'm in.
So would you say, I know you say like you're legitimately happy. I feel like you still giving like a very peaches and cream Cliff Note type of version of how you like
Do
really
you?
feel. Yeah, because like I feel we dig more deep into how like yeah, your life could still be good, your life could still be great. With you being married and you wouldn't, the marriage was a part of your story, and you wouldn't be who the person who you are today, but what are the certain things that you wish that you would have known about yourself as a kid, or like at 26 years old, or back then, that you didn't know about yourself until like I guess later on, or after you got divorced, or
I would say a lot of people, especially my children, but even more than that, ask me, "Why did you stay so long?"
about yourself, like
This goes back to me.
okay.
For me, it was about commitment and dedication, right? Like if this is a decision that I made at a young age, we thugging this shit out for the rest of my life. No matter if I was 2 when I made the decision, this is a covenant with God, and this is like commitment and all the things that we're taught as Christians growing up. Now that I look back, I would have probably made decisions earlier when I seen certain writings on the wall. I would have made a decision earlier to do things a little bit differently. But I was looking at, I thought I was looking at the bigger picture. I'm looking at, God. Everybody says God hates divorce. And so, yeah, like, okay, then we just got to figure this out by any means necessary. But I know that I probably could have made different choices earlier just based upon my knowledge now.
I get what you're saying, but a lot of the things that you're talking about are kind of like surface, like the actions that you wish you could have did. I'm talking about like more like internally, like certain characteristics or certain like
Okay.
emotions about yourself.
So I would say that I wish I valued myself more
Mm.
because I feel like I didn't value myself enough in certain situations where I really understood my power in a lot of different situations. And
Mm-hmm.
I allowed certain things to happen to me. And I'm not just talking about like with in a marital relationship. I'm talking about in general. Like even now, I struggle with even seeing myself in a certain light
Mm-hmm.
that other people even see me in. I could say like earlier in my business, I felt like I wasn't enough, and so I brought on certain like partners. I don't think honestly, when I look back, I probably didn't need those, but I didn't see they saw value something in something that I didn't see value in. I didn't. I knew I was struggling, right? I was struggling in business and I was tired, but I just think that was a decision that I made that I didn't really need to make because I didn't see value in certain things. Even today, I struggle with that. So, as a young person, when you are really trying to get to know who you are and you don't know who you are and you don't have the confidence, and then like I have self-esteem, right? I
Mm-hmm.
have self-esteem. I have confidence, but sometimes I underestimate my value.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like certain relationships that I've had, me, and I'm not trying to PG or whitewash this or whatever, PG wash it or whatever, but I love everybody, right? I love everybody. Everybody gets it. My therapist told me, Constance, everybody can't come to the penthouse. She was like, some of them got to go to the lobby. Some of them go to the third floor. Some of them motherfuckers got to go to the basement. But everybody can't come to the penthouse. And you want to bring everybody to the penthouse with you. And then they have to betray you in order for you to see who they really are. And so my guards, my blinders are up a lot of times, especially when it comes to meeting people, because I just give everybody the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And this one right here, she has to be my watchdog. She be like,
Oh my gosh.
evil lurks,
I was
right?
having this same exact conversation yesterday with my friend, because I was just telling him about the situation that just happened recently.
What
And
situation?
the situation, with one of the deals that we had
Oh, yeah, yeah,
recently.
yeah.
And so I was just telling him, one of the questions he did ask me, do you think your mom has like a good sense of character? I said no.
A
Immediately. I
good
said,
judgy character?
yeah, a judge of character. I said no immediately. Like that was the quickest answer I've ever had.
Damn,
And
I don't have a good judge of character.
no, and it's because of like what you said right there. Like you are overly trusting. You're overly, which is it's not a bad thing,
But
but like
it can be.
yeah, it could be a bad thing, because it's like you're just so overly trust. You don't see people. You see people for what they tell you, but not what they actually are.
Oof.
And so it's one of those things. It's like I told him, like I feel like I have to be like her bulldog, because it's like she doesn't judge these people, or like she doesn't see these people for what they are. Like there's certain actions she overlooks them, and so I feel like where I have to come in is being that being that person, that discerning person.
Yeah, I need that.
Yeah.
I used to, when I had my assistant, my assistant Linda worked for me for 14 years, and I was like, girl, I need you. I need you to be that. She couldn't be that for me because she was like, yeah, they're cool. Everybody's cool. Everybody's cool. It's like, no, somebody got to be the bulldog up in this motherfucker because I don't know, and I don't give it enough thought. I have a million things going on in my head, in my mind, in my life. And I should take more time to vet people. I really should. Because even that situation was strange because I was like, wait a minute, this isn't the person that I thought that this was, and ended up being just really weird and really strange. And I was like, I didn't see this coming. I certainly didn't see this coming. But even like, I'll go here, and I don't know if we want to put this in here, but even with my divorce, there'd be so many things, and I'd be like, but I don't remember this person being this way. Y'all are like, Mom.
And there'd be so many times where I just be like, you didn't see that back then.
Like,
so
no.
When this person did that, you didn't. Nothing sparked in your head. You was like, oh, let me.
Red
like,
flag.
I love everybody still.
But it was more though that I got so many things on my mind, and I guess maybe I have to figure out how to prioritize certain things to be better at that. And maybe I just need to pray for more discernment. Maybe I have to ask God to give me more wisdom on certain things and make that a priority.
I feel like it's not like a bad thing to be overly trusting. I feel like you should definitely have some boundaries, but I feel like the reason why you're so successful is because you give people like those chances and stuff like that. You do take a chance. I feel like with me, I'm so overly untrust. Always like I always have to like. I don't know. I feel like I kind of cripple myself sometimes because like I don't want things to pan out a certain way because I'm not as trusting.
But I think we need a balance between each other. Like,
Yeah.
so we have to balance each other out with that because you're not trusting. You have the wall, and the wall is completely down.
Yeah, exactly. I have this wall up. Your wall is all the way down, and it's like
we got to figure
but
out.
I'm just looking at your back and see how much you have accomplished, and me having my wall up. What have I accomplished? You know, like I don't know, like.
But everybody navigates things differently. So your success is not going to be the same route as my success. So that wall is actually good, and it's probably going to take you further. That not having a wall might have been to my detriment in some cases, and maybe I didn't get certain things because I didn't have a wall. So
yeah, probably because it got you in the door, but it didn't give you longevity.
In what way?
In a way where like it was able to like sustain like a lot of the things that when you were overly trusting the people, with your business and with everything, it a lot of those things didn't really last.
I wouldn't say that they didn't last. I would say it backfired.
It backfired a little bit.
I would say it backfired because now where I sit and I see how people show up. Here's one thing that I didn't know. Here's another thing I didn't know. I thought everybody loved me as much as I loved them. And I thought that I just did. I was like, oh, these people love me so much. I've given them business. I've given them so much business to where they made tons of money. I basically took money from my household to give other people money to be able to support their households, right? I gave them business. I gave them deals. I did all of these things. When I went through a divorce, it was a really, really tough time for me. And I'm normally this strong person, I'm a thug. I'm tough. But that thing broke me. And during that time, I couldn't function like with everything that I had going on. It was a lot going on, and I really couldn't function at the capacity that I'm normally used to functioning at. And I saw how people started moving around me, and I used to think, oh, they'll work for me for free because I'd done so much. I would loan people money, I would give them business, I would do all of these things for people. And then when I could no longer do that, then I seen how they moved, and it was like, whoa, they didn't love me. They loved what I did for them. Mm-hmm. And that right there was a lesson for me too, because I really thought people was messing with me like that. I really thought people were rocking with me like that. And that was one of the biggest eye openers as well, as in how I did business. And so I know going forward how to do business differently. Mm-hmm. It's a lesson learned. Now I was wildly successful, built a great company, great culture, great environment. And if I were to do it again, because when I turned it off and when I stopped, I was like, oh, I ain't doing this shit again. I was burnt out. I don't want to CEO nothing. I'm done. And I took a 2-year break. Now I may go in 2026, I may rebuild something, but I'll do it differently.
Mm-hmm.
I won't be as, I'll be a little bit more guarded. I'll be a little bit more careful. I'll go into it with a little bit more wisdom and knowing how people are.
Mm-hmm.
And just because you love them and want to see the best for them, they don't want that for you always.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle, I used to didn't think I had haters.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. You remember, I used to say, I ain't got no haters. I would tell people. People be like, my haters. I'm like, why would people hate on you? I used to think I'm not important for enough for people to hate on me. You don't got to be important for people to hate on you. People actually want to see you lose. They want to see your downfall.
People would hate on a rock. Like anything,
I
you
didn't
would hate
think though,
anything.
because I didn't hate on anybody. I still don't. Like, you be so busy doing and moving and doing your thing, like you're not thinking about the downfall of somebody else. But Kyle, people prey on your downfall. That was a big lesson for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that people actually prey on your downfall is wild. Because I've never wanted to see nobody do bad. I've always wanted to see people win. So that was wild to me too. So I wish I'd have known that I had haters, that people actually hate on me. That's important to know, because it also shows how you move, right? It also,
Mm-hmm.
like, you ain't gonna move the same when you know people are over there preying on your downfall.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not moving in love. I'm not gonna give everybody no deals. I'm not gonna give people money. People, so they're the ones
Treat
though.
people how you treat your kids.
What you mean?
Like,
Y'all the biggest grifters. What do you mean? I'll scam
no,
the
we
hell
gotta
out of
work.
me.
We gotta work for our
A
deals.
little bit, poquito, but not a
No,
whole
treat
lot.
people how you treat your kids.
Not a whole lot. But that's something else. Is I wish I would have known that I had haters, because that's wild to know that people actually hate you and want to see you lose. It's crazy. It's in some people's DNA, and maybe I'm just naive, but I still don't hate nobody. I still don't want nobody to lose. I still don't want to see nobody downfall, because when the death and the downfall that you wish upon somebody else is what you're gonna end up getting for yourself.
Exactly.
So that's the reason why I could never wish bad on nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Not even the people who pray for my downfall. I would never wish bad on them, because I only want good for me. So prosperity for everybody. Let's go.
Well, where do you think their hatred and stuff like comes from?
I think it comes from their own lack.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't like to see other people happy.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't like to see other people win, and they focus so much on that other person preying on their downfall rather than trying to uplift themselves. If they focus internally on winning, they wouldn't be worried about nobody else losing.
Yeah.
It stems from them. So that's what I do understand. It has nothing
So
to
it
do with
stems for
me.
their own internal value.
Their internal value, their insecurities, but it had nothing to do with me.
Do you think the people had anything to do with like a reflection of your value?
What do you mean?
Like earlier, you were talking about how one thing that you wish that you would have known was like if you had more value in yourself. Do you think at the time, like the people that you were around or you allowed or you gave these deals to, like, do you think that they reflected your value?
Yeah,
Like,
I think that they took whatever they can get. I think they sucked whatever they could. I think that they were receivers and not givers, and I operate on the law of reciprocity.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, absolutely,
Why did you give those deals, or why
because
did
I
you
wanted
give?
to see other people win,
Mm-hmm.
and I was focused on building the business, so I couldn't take on all the business either. It was just a lot of business. A lot of people were coming to me, and so I was, giving them to the people, distributing them. But they made a lot of damn money. We did really well, and they made a lot of money, and I'm okay with that. I still ain't mad at it. Cool, you made a lot of money.
So, what are the things that you wish you could do differently now? Like, what would you do
Oh,
differently?
what would I do differently
Uh-huh.
in running the business? I would totally, I think I was too friendly. I was too open, way too open. When I got really busy and I'm on phone calls and I'm on conference calls, I'm on Zoom meetings, and I had like 8 people. Like, you got 8 people that you could talk to before you talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
8 people on my staff that you could talk to before you talk to me. And they didn't want to talk to them. They wanted me. Well, you're always in a meeting. Your doors are always closed. Well, the reason why they felt that entitled is because I had such an open door policy. But I think that's also the thing that set me apart as the broker. I was the motivator. I was the cheerleader. I was the friend. I was all of those things. And I still could do that, but from a different perspective. I don't have to be their friend. I don't have to fraternize with them in the same way. We're not going to be besties. And I was trying to be besties with everybody. And I was trying to, love on everybody and just be that. And I think
I feel like you can still be friendly. You just have to like vet people.
Friendly, not friends.
Mm-hmm.
Friendly.
Yeah.
You ain't gotta be friends with everybody. People prove that they're not worthy to be friends. People prove that they're not worthy to call themselves your friend. And everybody was my friend.
Yeah. I think one thing that you did do, and I'm not trying to like,
No, go ahead.
go in on you or anything, but I like for me being observant of the things that was going on, I noticed that you used to what you kind of operated like, and I don't even know if it's just a your generation thing, because a lot of people who I work under like before kind of like do that too, but like they would just delegate tasks to people without fully outlining exactly what like
Mm-hmm.
they want, or like really outlining. They just kind of trust like, oh, you said that you're good at social media, oh, you're good at operations, you're good at this, you had jobs in there before, here I want you to do my operations,
Mm-hmm.
instead of kind of seeing what they do, or seeing, or really outlining those type of things. I've dealt with like jobs or contracts that were very, very short lived, where it was just like, oh, I want to work under a person, I want to do their social media for them, and then I do their social media without them really, like, they didn't really give
Didn't
me
give
a
you direction.
clear outline or direction. And as soon as I post something, it's like, oh, I don't want you to post things like that. Well, I didn't know, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so I feel like those, the people that you did like hire, that you delegated because you just wanted less work, but didn't really like
I'll
really
tell you
vet
what
it.
I didn't do right. First of all, there is a saying in business that you hire slow and fire fast. I didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is I rewarded loyalty over production.
Yeah.
And I'm giving out $10,000 bonuses to people who ended up stealing from me.
Yeah. I wish I had
Right.
a
And
channel with
so, huh?
so I wish I had a $10,000.
So, and I didn't put people in the right positions. Again, I rewarded what I consider to be loyalty over their skill set. And that's not good. So,
Mm-hmm.
so the business would have still been going had I not decided to change things. The business would have still been going had I not gone through what I've gone through, and I needed to reset. And I'm so glad that I did, because I was on this wheel and it was like going and going and going and going, and it was growing and growing and growing and growing, and it was doing well financially, economically, all those things, but it wasn't growing the way I needed it to grow, the way it should have been growing. I didn't have the proper people in the proper places. And so again, those are things that I could look at now and say, okay, going forward, I know I need to have this person with skill set. I teach the stuff now to people. I teach it based upon mistakes that I've made, though. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there are certain things you need to delegate. If there's certain things that you just don't have, you shouldn't be doing. As a CEO, I shouldn't be doing certain things. I need to be delegate. There's certain things that I needed to automate, right? And then there's certain things and people that I needed to eliminate. Those are things that needed to happen. Some of them that I did well, and some of them that I didn't do well. Again, even with the dysfunction, I wouldn't take my business with dysfunction, because it was a great environment. I had a great culture. We had a great culture. But even with that, there's things that I would definitely do a lot differently in the next chapter. If I were to do it again, I would do things differently. And I know that, you grow from the skill set. I didn't know if we wanted this to turn into a business session,
It
but
could turn into whatever you want to turn it into, but I feel like it all aligns with everything, because those are certain things that are important, that you wish you would have known as a grown woman or a young adult.
I think the
So
biggest thing is the value, not valuing myself, and then letting everybody in, and just not properly having the discernment on people, on humans, that I needed to have. And I probably that's something that I still need to work on.
what are some qualities that you see in me that you wish that you had at
Oh my
30?
God, that that bulldog. The fact that you do have more discernment, the fact that you are more cautious before moving forward.
I'm a slow burner, and I hate that about myself. Though I want things to just go.
Sometimes you got to make decisions quick,
Yeah.
and you can't overanalyze, because we get stuck in analysis paralysis. So that's something that you got to work on. But I love the fact that you're an independent thinker, you're so self-aware, you do the work. You question yourself, you want to grow, you want to get better. Like, some people are so caught up in being a victim, and you're not a victim. I love that. I love that you take note of who you are, and you're always doing things to constantly improve yourself. I love that you ain't got no kids. We were just talking about that, but it's not even
Holla.
about not having any kids. It's just about knowing what you're ready for, and then
Yeah.
making decisions. Like, you wasn't pregnant at 23. I was pregnant at 23. I had you at 23. You've made decisions for your life based upon where you are. And I think that's dope. I think that, you have a great head on your shoulders. I could talk to you about anything. I love that we can laugh about anything. Like, you already know we could be somewhere and I see something and you see something and we already know what it is. It's like, you know, so I love our relationship, that like sometimes we can almost read each other's mind.
A little bit. Oh, well, I appreciate that. At 26, what are the good qualities about yourself? Because I know we talked about like kind of like what you wish you would have learned. What are the things that you feel like you had developed at such an early age that kind of like carried you into your adulthood now?
Man, I've always worked my ass off. I've always been very diligent in how I worked. Whether I worked at a temp company, they would be like, every time I worked for a temp agency and they would put me in an assignment. I remember working at Sony or working at Apple because I'm in the Silicon Valley. They always call me back. We want her back. We want her back because I was head down focused. I always worked. I was always trying to improve myself. At 23, I bought my first house. At 26, I'm in real estate. 27, I'm making six figures. So I was always a hard worker and I was always trying to figure things out. But I think the fact that I worked really hard was definitely a strong value system that I had. Always, like, my work ethic is unmatched.
Yeah, you do have a good work ethic, and I know that you're in your season where you're just like, but I don't want to be.
But
Nobody
I
works
don't
hard
want to work hard no
anymore.
more. I don't
Like,
want to work. Nobody works harder than Constance Carter. I don't want that. That's good for you young people. I'm pushing 50. I ain't trying to work hard. I'm trying to work. I'm trying to chill and be on somebody's beaches and resorts and do that shit.
Okay, me too.
And live a soft life. No, you need your ass to work. Shit.
Nah, I want to live my little soft life.
Yeah, soft life. Yeah, you need to work.
No, but but like I think where you get confused about what soft life actually means, it doesn't mean that we don't work. It means that we don't tolerate any other things.
That means they'll quit a job on a dime. My mama got 6 jobs.
No, okay, we'll quit a job at a dime, but not because my mama got 6 jobs, because we know
our value,
our worth and our value. Because I know how I operate under, like, if I feel like things don't, if I'm in a job that doesn't serve me, like I'm not productive. Like, I'm literally wasting my time, and I would rather not waste anybody else's time being at a place where I know that I can't really succeed at, and I would rather like pivot to go somewhere else or do something else. So that's what I feel like. Soft life just means like serving yourself and serving your purpose instead of just like,
I'm with it. I'm trying to live a soft life right now
because I feel like you live your life for other people. Like
I did. I live my life for you.
Yeah, for us, for for your marriage, your business, and stuff. So soft life is actually more putting yourself first. Like, you can work hard, but work hard on the things that you want to do.
And that's the thing. T. Harv Eker said, in life, if you're willing to do what's hard, life will be easy. But if you're only willing to do what's easy, life is going to be hard. Yeah. And so we have to do the things that are hard in order for our lives to, to be able to live those soft lives and be able to be on the vacations and do all the things that we want to do. We have to be willing to, do
it's crazy that you say that, because one of the things that just been in my head recently, I feel like God is speaking to me lately about the hard things. And I feel like I have to, a lot of the things that are hard or that I kind of don't like naturally gravitate to, because it's either too much work or whatever. I feel like those are the things that's going to definitely, like, I think God is placing those things in my life so that, like, my theme in the past week or this next week is do the things that you don't normally do. Love that. And so that's just been my pattern, or the pattern I have to work on lately. So I love that. Like, for example, with like this podcast, not having, I still am in my head about certain things with this podcast. Like, oh, we don't have a certain amount of mics, so we have these get a little setup. Hey. We don't have the things, but it's just like, if I'm willing to do the things that are hard now, like editing and all this type of stuff, because doing all this extra stuff, editing, all those are the hard things that I kind of like don't want to do, because it's kind of a little more tedious to do. But if I'm willing to do those things, it will later on be easier later on. Or absolutely. Would you say that when you were younger, did you have like a certain vision for yourself? Because I
just know I wanted to be a businesswoman. I didn't know what that looked like. I just knew I wanted to be a businesswoman.
But where did that come from?
I don't know. I just always wanted to be a businesswoman. I don't know. And then I remember I wanted to be a lawyer. And I would have been a really good lawyer had I been a lawyer.
Yeah, you would have. What's all of us wanted to be a lawyer for? I wanted to be a lawyer. Warren wanted to be a lawyer. I don't know.
I know. Like to argue. Warren may end up doing it. Warren was like, man, if you would have been a lawyer, you'd have been one of the coldest lawyers in America. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. But yeah, again, that was the regret of not going away to an HBCU. I felt like I would have been exposed to so much more. And I was actually talking to my son yesterday, Warren, and one of the things he was saying was, man, Mom, going to Hampton, I have friends who parents and grandparents and great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents are legacy. They got long money. They are like consulates and they own islands and like they
yeah.
And
there's this girl who I went to Hampton with. Her dad, I don't know what her dad does, but she was on a private jet with her whole family.
See,
I'm like, see, what?
That's what I'm saying.
And all her family are Hampton legacies. See, all of them.
And I love that, and that's the kind of exposure that I wanted my kids to have. That they don't have it at all HBCUs, unless you know that.
No, for real, they don't. Not all HBCUs. Certain ones.
All HBCUs ain't created equal. Because my other son goes to another HBCU, and it ain't like that.
Yeah, it ain't like that, homie.
But it's just the exposure that you guys got to get by virtue of going there and seeing all of this Black excellence on another level.
Yeah.
And I remember when you went, back in 2017, you were like, man, with all this Black excellence, I can't do anything but succeed because it's all around me. And in one way, it can make you feel inadequate,
Yeah.
but in another way, it can also inspire you.
Because like when I'm in certain rooms, I feel like I'm the not the best one there, but like I feel like I have.
So that's one thing too.
But like at Hampton, I didn't feel like I was the best one there. Like I was a small fish in the big pond at Hampton, but in the outside world, I'm definitely the big fish.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's the one thing that I really admire about you, because people look at me and they'll be like, "Oh, Constance, you're this person, you're out there." And I'm not a big networker. You, on the other hand, I watch you in awe. I just be like, "Look at her go! She's such a great network." You are not afraid to put yourself out there. I'd be in the corner. I'm not the one that really wants to do that. I do that on necessity.
But that started
I can do it.
for me being in college. I think if you went to college,
Right.
it would probably because
I can do it. It's just not my most favorite thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. And so like if you were in like the same position that I was in, like I'm a girl from California who moved like 3,000 miles away, knows nobody, and I had no other choice but to get out my shell.
Yeah.
And so like it caused me to do that. If you went through the same thing, I would probably be like
that again. That goes back to regret. That's the only regret. So being here, Warren went to all the neighbors the other day. My son. Let me tell you about my son. Now we're trying to make him some money, right? So he knows that when he goes back to school, he's getting ready to graduate. He's like, this semester is going to be crazy. I'm not going to have time to do nothing. I can't get a job. I have to do community service hours, and I got it. Like I'm carrying a full load because he's graduating. So he's like, I'm just going. He went to door to door in the neighborhood asking people if he can clean out their garbage cans for $20. It was damn near snowing. He had gloves on. He bought all the stuff, and he went door to door. People were like, I don't got nothing for you to clean, but here's $20. They was giving him $20. They was cash apping him. He don't get cash up, so they would cash app me. They was Apple Pay. They was just giving the money, which I just thought was so dope because it just his hustle was just so amazing. When he went in this neighborhood, now we live in an all Black neighborhood, a very affluent neighborhood. He said everybody in here is Howard. He said every door he knocked on over here is all Howard. But so I said that to say, here's my HBCU experience now. Here I am, in my 40s, getting my HBCU experience living in or near Washington, D.C., finally getting that HBCU experience that I always wanted. So now, no regrets. Here I am today, loving every minute of it and being able to be around it, but it's still not the same as going to college and living in it every day.
That's good. I feel like let's actually start going into like our segment.
Okay.
Because I feel like we probably been talking for a long time now. Okay, now we're going to go into the segment called The Raw Truth. And in this segment, me and my mom are actually going to answer the same question, but we're going to answer it separately. So I'm going to walk out the room. We're not supposed to know what each other's answers are because we want to just be vulnerable. We want to just we don't want each other to influence our answers. So what we're going to do is I'm going to leave while she answers the question and then vice versa. So the question in our Raw Truth segment is, what is one truth about yourself you had to accept that actually changed your life, even though accepting it hurt? Okay, guys, I'm out of here. Oh, I'm probably too loud. I'm sorry. I'm out of here, guys.
So I would say one raw truth. So going back to me being so open and so accepting to everybody, I think it was for fear of abandonment. I wanted people to like me. I wanted everybody to love me. I wanted everybody to like me. I could think of about so many times where I just wanted friends. I just wanted people to like me. And I think that carried over. And I think it came from abandonment. Like I said, when I was 14, my mother left. And when she left, she was gone. When I was 18, I got kicked out of my house and I was homeless. I wasn't homeless for very long, but I was living from pillar to post. I was spending night out friends' houses. I even slept in my car. And I just always, probably not in my formative years, really cared about people liking me, but there was that fear of abandonment stemming from my parents and just not wanting people to leave me. And that's probably why I also stayed married so long, is that fear of abandonment. And so that's, now that I realize what that was and what it is, I think the way it changes my life is it changes how I show up. Whether people like me or not is not my issue, it's their issue. But there was just this innate thing that I had inside of me. I want to love everybody. I want to be friends with everybody. I want everybody to like me. It was really saying I didn't want people to abandon me. And I think when people did start leaving and they started jumping ship and they started showing me who they really were, that abandonment happened all over again. And I was abandoned in many ways and one time it was just like it all came at me at the same time. And it was a hard truth. And it was something that I had to deal with and be abandoned so that I could overcome that fear of abandonment so that I could be better now because of it. So I would say that would be my hard truth.
Okay, guys, I'm back. So, what raw truth that I wish I knew about myself that would have changed my life? So, for me, it is I wish I wasn't. Can we have quiet on the set? Okay, one raw truth that I wish I knew about myself is that I used I used my parents or like my parents as a clutch to excuse my behavior, and that actually really had me like sit back and think because it's like I don't want to be that enabler. I want to genuinely I want people to have like a lasting impact around me. So I don't want to be that person walking around like my stuff don't stink, right? So a lot of the things though too, like if I felt a certain way and I told my mom about it, she was like, girl, you shouldn't feel that, like, girl, you did right. Or you certain things I am wrong about that I didn't really think I was wrong because I allowed other people to enable my behavior. If once I actually stopped looking for outside validation, that's actually what actually started to change my life for real. Because how can I grow if my stuff if I'm walking around like my stuff don't stink?
Can you please shut the hell up?
Okay, guys, we're back. So what was your thing?
So mine was what I realized is I had a fear of abandonment. That's the reason why I want everybody to like me. That's the reason why I'm so open and I love people is because think about when I was 14 when my mom left, and when I was 18 I got kicked out of the house.
Yeah.
And so just wanting somebody to be there, be solid for me, and stay with me. And then um, when I was going through the worst time of my life is when most people abandoned me. Everybody abandoned me at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lesson. It was a hard lesson I had to learn because I'm thinking everybody loves me and knowing that they don't. But in this next chapter of my life, it makes me go into it more cautious and just more aware and a better person as a result of it. I don't got no ill feelings towards anybody. People do what they feel is best for them.
Yeah.
But people gonna look out for them first.
Exactly. And it's teaching you to not like run away from yourself because every time you try to, that's
Right.
what happened.
I gotta champion myself. What about you?
So mine was my hard truth was my I allowed my parents to enable me into like. So basically, what I was just saying is that my hard truth that I had to realize by myself is that I allowed out the outside my parents to enable my actions, and so like I walk around like my stuff don't stink. But the thing is, because I used to be like, every time I like said an issue, whatever, you would be like, oh girl, you ain't do nothing wrong, or you. And I just like sit back and reflect because I don't want to walk around like my stuff don't stink. Like, how can I be able to grow and stuff like that if I'm allowing like the outside to influence me? And so I want people to be around me to have a lasting impression with me. I don't want people to feel like they can't say anything to me or any of that. Like I always want to improve, so I can't like keep hiding behind.
I thought you were more self-aware.
No, I'm self-aware to the point where I know those things about myself, but I still allow that to happen. And it's like I don't want to keep because I've noticed like how it kind of reflected in my outside life and what that looks like. And so walking around like my stuff don't stink, it hasn't really been going good for me anyway. So it's like I just don't want to be that person to have a lasting impact on people. And yeah, so I can't allow that to enable me.
Okay, I can dig it.
Okay, guys. Well, that it concludes the end of our episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you guys next week. Booyah.
Boom.